rocked the music business. Although few expected it, there was an immediate reaction when the decision was made. A major court case was won by Remir, a man who has long claimed to be Jay-Z's biological son. The award of $1.66 billion was stunning. This was not a bargain made behind closed doors or a clandestine settlement. The court-ordered decision might affect everything from tour revenue to Roc Nation's streaming rights. Reports state that Beyoncé, who is often seen as a symbol of accuracy and control, has been greatly affected by the ruling. Numerous questions concerning Roc Nation's future and the impact this ruling will have on the careers, financial situation, and public perception of those involved are brought up by the verdict. Sources claim that she is carrying out her everyday tasks while retaining a modicum of controlled anxiety. The next advancement is keenly anticipated by Jay-Z has been able to stay clear of the issue. He has remained one of the most untouchable figures in music, avoided DNA testing, and refuted the accusations. The charges often felt like background noise that never broke through the wall of control Remir had built around himself. But his court victory changed everything. This isn't just another filing or hearsay. This decision directly puts pressure on Jay-Z and takes away the protection he has relied on for so long. The verdict makes it difficult to ignore the situation, even for someone as wealthy as Jay-Z. A $1.6 billion compensation is not negligible. This isn't the kind of money that simply disappears. Now, time is an issue. Serious consequences, such as asset sales, strained brand alliances, and nervous investors reassessing their investments, could result from this kind of financial harm. Every day that goes by without a resolution adds weight to the problem. The longer it continues, the more it harms his reputation and raises questions about the stability. Beyoncé, whose entire career has been based on accuracy, discipline, and control, comes next. She has been protected from the din of gossip and has kept up an almost perfect public image. But even she is unable to fully manage the crisis that is currently plaguing her marriage. She has reportedly already issued a confidential ultimatum. The demand is simple but firm. Resolve this issue before it becomes out of control or risk losing everything they have fought so hard to build as a married couple. Both financial and personal hardship are now present. Right now, it is impossible to calculate. Beyoncé has been there for Jay-Z through all of the public problems he has encountered. This isn't a flimsy dispute or internet rumors. The accusation's nature would be the most difficult element. It is a documented judicial decision with ethical and financial implications. Since they date back decades to when Remir's mother was a minor, the issue is more than just a financial one. It becomes a moral and reputational test with lasting consequences. What would a family think of a headline like that? How can a global tour be set against the backdrop of $1 billion ruling pertaining to these accusations? The glaring discrepancy between their brand and their reality is almost impossible to reconcile. For Beyoncé, the problem goes beyond cameras and stages. 3 children are at the center of this storm. Keeping children safe from the inevitable questions and gossip at school becomes a task that no parent wants to take on. Every unsolved problem intensifies the silence, and each headline brings their identities closer to the chaos. It's no longer just a person. 228, there are rumors that discreet calls are being placed to prominent divorce attorneys. Although the conversations are private and exploratory, they are significant enough to keep the rumors going. Conversations like these rarely conclude without consequences once they are started. Furthermore, it seems like Beyoncé wastes time defending her tale every time Jay-Z's legal team prevails in court. Her closest circle reportedly fears that the damage is already done. According to reports, luxury partners are closely monitoring the situation. and discussions concerning endorsements have slowed or even ceased. In her world, optics are the currency of commerce, and those optics are currently showing signs of fissures. Someone who has built a flawless brand finds this kind of scrutiny unnerving. This is further complicated by the possibility of a new batch of claims. Remir's court victory not only validated his experience but also could open the door for others who have long been ignored. One name that keeps coming up is Lita Masser, a woman from Maryland who has long claimed to be Jay-Z's daughter. For a long time, her tale has been marginalized and has only ever received passing headlines and speculations. Most of the accusations were brushed aside, and Jay-Z has never addressed her in public. Remir's victory, however, changes that perception by showing that even the most powerful people may be forced to react if they are persistent in court. Ms. single quotes S history lends credence to her story. She has discussed how, according to reports, everyone in the little community where she was raised whispered about her father. She described how she had to raise her boys while maintaining a secret that no one wanted to talk about in public, as well as her mother's issues with a terrible illness. Reports indicate that her camp is now feeling more assured. Given that Remir had overcome the legal obstacle that seemed insurmountable at first, she may see a chance to do the same. If Jay-Z chooses to press her case, the timing couldn't be more dire. Instead of a single decision to end the matter, he may be facing the beginning of multiple paternity battles. It would be almost impossible to keep two separate charges that are both related to complaints that date back decades under control in the accusations against the former acquaintance of Leta Masser are far more alarming. According to this report, Jay-Z has been covertly paying her bills for years since purchasing a home in Cambridge, Maryland. They claim that the agreement contains strict conditions, namely that his photo cannot be shown in her home. These accusations have been made previously, but they have never been backed up by proof. Jay-Z has opted to keep quiet rather than directly address the charges. But that silence might not endure after Remir's court victory. Every unresolved accusation now has the potential to seem less like denial and more like avoidance. In a public context where impressions can be just as damaging as evidence, ignoring the assertions could make the damage worse. If Masser decides to move forward and reveal further evidence, he could be subject to severe consequences. Many in her circle believe she has more to prove, more to show, and more to say than has ever been made public. If such information were made public, the story could quickly shift from one of a reluctant parent to one of repeated denial. A personal scandal would not be as painful as this shift in perspective. It would harm Jay-Z's reputation as a well-known figure who has long been recognized as a role model, entrepreneur, and cultural leader. For an artist whose influence is founded on both music and commercial credentials, the fragility of Jay-Z's empire is making it more difficult to ignore. The foundations of the image that our OC Nation title and Dias Cognac rely on are control, influence, and credibility. Without that base, the confidence that keeps such efforts together begins to erode. The thing that draws in business partners is stability, not scandal.
In addition, Jay-Z is now seen as a symbol of ambiguity.
The trust that supports his business network is undermined by each claim related to past contacts with children and each association with contentious figures. Beyoncé's position is even more perilous than his. She is not only his wife but also a globally recognized brand in her own right, influencing fashion, films, fragrances, and travel. She has a reputation for being disciplined and faultless, so scandal by association is improbable. Keeping a public partnership with Jay-Z over a drawn-out legal dispute might erode the very brand strength that propels her company. However, if she goes too soon, she could be seen as abandoning him in the middle of chaos. This balancing act is believed to have reached its limit. She is running out of patience, according to those close to her. She has a lot of costly options, but the cost of doing nothing might be the highest. If she continues to support him without coming up with a solution, her name could be associated with a tale over which she has no control. And for someone whose career has relied on controlling the narrative, it could be the biggest risk of all. It gets harder to tell one's personal life from one's work identity at this point. The possibility of Lita and Ramir pursuing their claims at the same time raises the stakes. If their legal rights overlap, this can cause misunderstandings and draw more attention from the public. Each additional witness, document, or statement would add a new depth to the story. Every day, the news stories take precedence over private matters. Avoiding the shift from legal struggle to public narrative would be almost impossible. For Beyoncé, this presents a different kind of problem. Even small questions at events can make a big difference, even if her public appearances are associated with her image of control and discipline. Those close to her claim that the numerous backstage conversations have made her seriously consider her options for the future. Not only is her marriage a problem, but her choices also affect her standing as a mother and a well-known individual worldwide. Every option carries certain risks, and waiting too long could make those risks worse. The balance she has always maintained is suddenly being demanded of her in the past. The couple portrayed themselves as unbreakable and represented unity and power in the music business. That same image is currently being put to the test by overlapping legal disputes and heightened scrutiny of their private lives. As the cases develop and more evidence becomes available, the public's impression of them could shift significantly. Something that was formerly believed to be robust and unbreakable may begin to show signs of brittleness. If the tension rises, the story may move from awe to caution far earlier than expected. Additionally, the sensation of unavoidable events keeps growing in the backdrop. For years, Jay-Z has protected various parts of his past with legal tactics and a strong defense team. That tactic has allowed him to avoid direct responsibility in situations when others would not have been as fortunate. However, it is more challenging to keep those same doors closed due to the weight of ongoing lawsuits and public attention. A threat that seemed distant is now getting closer. Each case narrows his options and puts more pressure on him. Public opinion and the music industry operate differently than courts, and the secrecy surrounding celebrities has little impact on the facts and decisions that are made. Jay-Z's defense is not without its problems, as Ramir's recent victory has already shown. That billion-dollar outcome not only attracted media attention, but it also demonstrated to others that persistence could be rewarded. Now, more than ever, there is a chance that past charges will surface again. Every silent dismissal now has the potential to be a new war. Will he be able to take any more? The numbers alone are shocking, and that's only the first step. A $1.6 billion judgment is more than just another bill. It hits like a wrecking ball right in the middle of Jay-Z's business. This financial uncertainty affects Roc Nation's publishing company, sports industry, and musician roster. Even longtime partners will be re-evaluating their positions. Not just one part of the business is impacted by the demand. When the issue reaches that level, it becomes more difficult to regulate. If the whole payment is required, there may be dire repercussions. In order to prevent the verdict, it may be necessary to sell important assets quickly. This includes his ownership of Tidal as well as his interests in luxury beverages and other ventures. Fire sales often result in valuable stakes being given up for far less than their worth. The damage is not only financial, one's reputation is also impacted. As these sales start, the feeling of control usually fades. That shift might be more detrimental than just losing money. The sight of a mogul hurrying to liquidate is hard to miss. In a field where confidence is crucial, panic can spread swiftly. Business partners may separate themselves from one another in order to lower risk. Investors may start to get out while they wait to see if the empire holds or breaks much worse. It is difficult to reverse the momentum created by these actions. Every move taken under duress will be closely examined. And in that context, even Small decisions have a big impact. In high-rise offices and private salons where major agreements are completed, quiet discussions have already begun. Investors are holding urgent meetings, and marketing personnel are working to remove Jay-Z's image from upcoming advertising. One luxury brand has even delayed a combined rollout till further notice. When a name is unclear, these activities show how quickly business partners react. Legal guilt or innocence isn't the primary question at this point. The real issue is association and how it affects business relationships. An industry that depends on image and reputation can be completely upended by even the smallest rumor. Many times, spouses split up early to avoid such consequences. The longer the verdict is pending, the more difficult it is to fix the problem. The uncertainty endures and the feeling of instability grows. Once that perception is formed, it is more difficult to alter, regardless of the actual outcome. At the moment, Jay-Z is having trouble maintaining his reputation. The pace at which a single trial setback has revived the tale of secret children is even more unsettling. Ramir's victory is not being viewed in a vacuum. Rather, it is being seen as the first crack in a long-stressed dam. The outcome of that shift is a revitalized interest in the past and the resurgence of old stories. One story that is getting increasing attention is that of Letitia Mayer. Her claims are now being resurrected with renewed energy after being disregarded for years. People who recall her situation recall the family members that allegedly connected her mother with Jay-Z. The rumors about her small town never went away. On social media, more individuals than ever before are voicing their opinions, with many saying Letitia has remained silent for too long. That pressure is fueling speculation about what she may do next. If she pursues her case as aggressively as Ramir has, the timing could work against her. Jay-Z may find it difficult to manage the ramifications. Industry insiders are now asking the unpleasant question: if there are already 2 allegations, is it possible that there will be more? Over the years, other charges have surfaced in gossip columns, but they were quickly brushed off. At the time, they disappeared with little warning. However, recent occurrences have altered the situation. Old rumors are being re-examined now that a billion-dollar verdict has been formally entered into the public record. Stories that were formerly dismissed are now becoming more pertinent. Because of the changed climate, people are re-evaluating things that were previously ignored. Perception influences how the past is currently understood. One element that is generating conjecture is the refusal to submit to a DNA test. What appeared to be a common privacy decision made by celebrities now appears questionable. For many, it seems to be a resistance to the truth. The notion that additional claims could possibly surface is significantly reinforced by every no comment. It's becoming harder to ignore the personal pressure. People close to the Carters claim that their home is under stress because of the frequent scheduled changes and the lack of public appearances. It feels like damage control that never stops. Beyoncé's team, which is well known for managing her image accurately, is reportedly overworked. Now, their focus is on shielding her brand from the fallout. The public conversation shifts away from music and artistic expression as long as the paternity scandals continue. Instead, attention turns to a complicated legacy that has a lot of unanswered questions. For someone like Jay-Z, whose reputation has been built on domination and untouchability, this is a worrying development. The rest of his story has always been protected by legal restrictions, and he has always selected which aspects to divulge. These boundaries are currently being forced open by people who are making personal claims related to his ancestry rather than by rivals in the sector. Once the audience starts to see a pattern, it is nearly impossible to change their opinion. Because of the connection between financial fragility and damage to one's reputation, the storm is especially harmful. It is possible to recover from losing one, but it is far more difficult to lose both. When one imagines the headlines, the risk becomes more obvious. If Jay-Z is hurrying to deal with a billion-dollar judgment and another case from an accused child comes to light, the repercussions might be catastrophic. Every fresh accusation would become more credible when the media began relating historical tales to contemporary affairs. The momentum rises quickly, and he may not be able to contain it. If that's the case, It would be like a slow-motion collapse that even the best PR could not make into a redemption story. The idea of a pattern would be strengthened by each new development, eroding trust in his carefully managed public image. For someone who has long influenced his tale, the unraveling would cut straight to the core of his legacy. Even his longtime friends who have stood by him during past controversies now appear hesitant to do so. New attention is being drawn to him because of his relationships with other problematic figures in the entertainment business. In certain instances, no clear connection has been made, but the associations are alarming in and of themselves. For cautious partners, the mere perception of danger is enough to keep them at bay. Every day that goes by without a clear and decisive public response gives rivals and critics greater room to influence the story. In Hollywood, the situation has quietly evolved into a test of loyalty. Some of Jay-Z's longtime supporters are remaining mute and watching from a distance rather than speaking out for him. Their reluctance serves as an example of how fragile public partnerships may be. Since Ramir's court triumph, some people's quiet has been especially noticeable. Even if his relationship with Jay-Z has changed from one of brotherhood to hostility, Kanye West has remained silent. It speaks volumes that these prominent individuals have remained silent. One of ROC Nation's most well-known artists, Rihanna, has also chosen not to acknowledge the problem directly or even inferentially. In addition to avoiding gossip, they are remaining silent to prevent unintended effects. If they openly link themselves to the controversy, they may be subject to the same scrutiny. In a field where reputation is crucial, silence often speaks louder than words. Some, though, have seized the opportunity to revive long-standing grievances. 50 Cent, who rarely avoids controversy, has frequently blasted Jay-Z for refusing to submit to a DNA test. He has turned the paternity case into a social media circus replete with memes. His comments are not only personal jabs, but they also serve as a signal to the industry that Jay-Z's integrity is being undermined. In an industry where economic opportunities are sometimes determined by perception, it is important when a competitor of similar quality ridicules him. Jay-Z's once enjoyed image of untouchability is undermined. Public mockery has the ability to shift the balance and make people reconsider their collaborations. One rival's speech has the power to increase pre-existing doubts. The split reactions demonstrate that an unconscious computation is in play. One may become silent after thoroughly evaluating their own shortcomings. They are aware that if Jay-Z has a total breakdown, the consequences might go far beyond him. Relationships and commercial ventures that were once secure could suddenly be called into doubt. Mutual investments and personal agreements form the foundation of the entertainment industry's close ties. A collapse at the top layer can bring down everyone who is too closely linked. Silence in this context is not a sign of indifference but of survival. Many seem to be betting that the storm will pass without them having to choose a side, another factor that impacts reactions behind the scenes is influence. The network that Jay-Z has built over the years consists of corporate partnerships, award committees, and charitable boards. Speaking out against him could endanger not just personal connections but also the financial opportunities that come with them. However, it is difficult to ignore the magnitude of his impact. Industry veterans are aware that breaking apart these networks takes time. Even in the face of scandal, power usually has its allure. If they totally disengage, many would lose access to crucial networks that impact their business ventures and professions. Choosing is rarely simple. In addition to loyalty, another reason for slowness to act is fear of the consequences. Retaliation or exclusion from events involving Jay-Z's network could follow public criticism. Some people use silence as a tactic to protect their reputation and access. This risk balance keeps a lot of individuals off the longer this disparity. Last, the more people speculate that the entertainment elite follow an unspoken contract. The principle is simple: protect each other, even at the expense of transparency. That viewpoint suggests that the quiet of Jay-Z's supporters is more similar to coordination than caution. The goal is to prevent a situation where private actions turn into public liabilities. This fear raises a more important query: if Jay-Z collapses, Who might be next? That notion hangs like a specter over the industry. Survival often takes precedence over ethics when deciding whether to step in or leave a reputation-based company. Finding a balance between self-defense and loyalty is rarely simple. It's still uncertain. Though, if Jay-Z's riches, influence, and cultural reach will be sufficient to shield him going forward. Prominent figures in this sector have survived a number of controversies, as history shows. Often, they were maintained by the same networks that are now displaying signs of stress. The pressure is higher this time. This is not a single issue, but a complex dilemma. It tests the stability of his personal life, the dedication of his business partners, and the perseverance of his legal teams. More importantly, it makes people impatient. And once that patience runs out, it's nearly tough to win back trust. We appear to be at a turning point right now. On one path, Jay-Z might fight his way back, resolving disputes, silencing critics, and bringing stability with his wealth and influence. An empire collapsing, losing assets, weakening alliances, and rewriting a legacy through legal documents. Instead of music is the alternative scenario. Whether this scandal will finally lead to the downfall of one of the most influential individuals in the industry is the key question. Or will he be able to disappear once more with the same power and impact that brought him? His career as well as the broader culture of the music industry may be impacted by the response. Please leave your thoughts below, since this story has the potential to fundamentally alter how power and responsibility interact in the industry. Until the next time, stay vigilant, maintain your curiosity, and keep paying close attention. It might be the next headline any moment now.